Welcome back, Forge fans. Today we're not breaking down another event or doing reward math. Instead, we're tackling something every FoE player has heard at least once. The myths. You know the ones. That one guildmate who swears city defense is the secret to victory, or the neighbor who insists you must build every great building ever made. Spoiler, they're wrong. So grab your Forge points, grab a coffee, and get ready, because we're about to roast some of the most common and most ridiculous myths in Forge of Empires. Myth 1. Observatory is useless. Some players look at the observatory and immediately dismiss it. Why would I waste space on that? It doesn't give me attack. It doesn't give me Forge points. It doesn't even look cool. Reality. Observatory is one of the most underrated great buildings in the entire game because it generates guild goods. And guild goods are the fuel for everything guild related. Guild expedition unlocks levels, guild battlegrounds, building camps, siege costs, and now even QI cooperation down the road. Without enough guild goods, your guild is basically broke. So when someone says observatory is useless, what they're really saying is, I like letting my guildmates pay all the bills. And trust me, that doesn't make you popular. It's like being the guy at dinner who eats the steak and refuses to chip in when the check comes. Yeah, real team spirit. Some players dismiss Seed Vault as a relic. That building doesn't really give anything useful. Reality, Seed Vault gives two things: helping hands. Every time you aid another player, you have a chance, up to 25%, to gain a random reward, including goods, boosts, fragments, and most importantly, diamonds. The player you aid must have something to polish or motivate, otherwise you just get coins. Diamonds are the real prize here. Even a trickle from Seed Vault adds up over time, making it one of the few great buildings that can generate premium currency. If you think Seed Vault is outdated, you're basically saying free diamonds don't matter. Good luck convincing anyone of that. Myth 3. The Ark is the only great building that matters. Ah yes, the Holy Ark. For years, new players have been told, build the Ark or quit the game. And yes, Ark is insanely powerful. It multiplies reward payouts from FP donations, it supercharges your blueprint income, and it makes guild play possible. But here's the catch. Ark is not the only building that matters. Chateau Frontenac, CF, is a monster when it comes to quests. It multiplies everything you get from them. Forge points, goods, medals, but most importantly diamonds. With a strong CF, recurring quests and event quests become a steady source of premium currency, turning what seems like scraps into a real income. Blue Galaxy can multiply your best daily collections. Alcatraz, Traz, produces free units, which is basically an army printer. And yes, even Seed Vault joins the party. So yes, Ark is king, but it's not the only member of the royal family. Treating it like the only one is like saying football is just the goalkeeper. Imagine a city with only an Ark and nothing else. That's not a strategy, that's a Ferrari locked in the garage because you forgot to buy gas. Myth 4. Events that look unimportant aren't worth playing. You'll always hear some players dismiss certain events. This one's weak, not worth the time. I'll wait for St. Patrick's or wildlife. Reality. Events that look minor or less important often hide long-term value. They give fragments, upgrade kits, small but powerful side buildings, and boosters that stack over time. Even buildings considered filler can turn into real assets when multiplied. Skipping an event because it looks weak is short-sighted. Progress in FoE is about accumulation. The little extras from weaker events often snowball into a big advantage months later. Meanwhile, your neighbor, who actually played the event, is sitting there with a shiny upgraded building pumping out more FPs than your entire city block. But hey, at least you saved yourself 10 clicks, right? Myth 5. You must log in daily or you won't progress. This one usually gets pushed on new players like some kind of religion. If you don't log in every single day, your city will collapse. Reality. Missing a day doesn't reset your progress. You don't log in Tuesday? Guess what? Wednesday your buildings are still there, your forge points are still ticking, and your city didn't spontaneously burn down. Sure, daily play gives you more rewards, but it's not an all or nothing contract. The only thing you miss is opportunities, not your entire city. So if you need a break, take it. Forge of Empires is not going to send you a termination letter unless you're in a hardcore guild. Then yeah, you might get a DM like, "Where were you? We lost GE level 4 because you dared to touch grass." Myth 6. All great buildings should be built. This is the trap every beginner falls into. If it's a great building, it must be great. So they happily plop down Colosseum, Lotus Temple, Notre Dame, Temple of Relics, you name it. Reality, not all GBs are created equal. Some are god tier, others are dust collectors. Colosseum, huge footprint, laughable output. Lotus Temple, pretty but about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Good players curate their GBs like a fine wine collection. Beginners hoard them like expired coupons. If you're proudly flexing your level 2 Colosseum, congrats! You've just built the largest lawn ornament in FoE history. Myth 7. Attack for defending army matters. A lot of players obsess over their city defense stats. If I crank up my defending army boost, nobody will dare attack me. Reality. City defense is basically irrelevant. The big battles happen in guild battlegrounds, guild expedition, and quantum incursions. Not in your poor little city that a bored neighbor might raid once a week. Even if you stack 1000% defense, it doesn't change the fact that nobody really cares about attacking cities anymore. So pouring resources into defense is like installing a titanium lock on a shed full of rusty tools. Yes, go ahead, keep buffing your city defense. Maybe one day a Bronze Age neighbor will attack you out of nostalgia and lose a spearman. Victory! Myth 8. Advancing through ages as fast as possible is best. This myth usually comes from excitement. The faster I reach space age Jupiter Moon, the stronger I'll be. Reality. Racing through the ages without building a foundation is a trap. You'll end up short on goods, stuck in negotiations you can't afford, and fighting with units that feel like paper dolls. That's why experienced players often camp in certain ages. Industrial age for goods balance, modern era for efficiency, Arctic future for cheap fights, etc. It's not about being first to the moon. It's about having an actual city that can survive there. Rushing to space age Jupiter Moon while your city economy is still in Iron Age is like showing up to a Formula One race on a bicycle. Sure, technically you're on the track, but good luck finishing a lap. Myth 9. Spending diamonds equals guaranteed success. Plenty of players assume Forge of Empires is a credit card wins game. Just buy diamonds and you'll dominate. Reality, diamonds are a tool, not a win button. Without strategy, you'll waste them on the wrong expansions, useless event shop offers, or mediocre buildings. I've seen players drop thousands of diamonds and still get outperformed by free-to-play grinders who actually know what they're doing. Money speeds up mistakes just as much as it speeds up progress. You can throw $500 at Inno and still get crushed by a free player with an arc at 180. The only thing you'll dominate is your bank account balance, in the negative. Myth 10. Negotiations are always better than fighting. A lot of players swear by negotiations, Why bother building attack boost? I'll just negotiate everything. Reality. Negotiations seem smooth at first, until they start demanding half your stockpile of goods. On higher levels of GE or GBG, costs skyrocket. Meanwhile, fighting with a good boost stays consistent and free once your army is set up. Negotiations are fine in moderation, but relying on them is like trying to pay rent with coupons. Eventually, the math stops working. And let's be honest, nothing says fun like wasting 6 attempts because the AI decided you should offer uranium and honey in the same trade. Myth 11. Your city must look neat and symmetrical. New players often arrange their cities like a beauty contest. Look, I made perfect streets, fountains in every corner, symmetry everywhere. Reality. Pretty layouts don't win battles or generate forge points. Optimization does. A messy city with tight, ugly Tetris-style placement can easily outperform a postcard-perfect design. In FOE, ugly is efficient. So while you're busy playing interior designer, your neighbor's chaotic mess of event buildings is spitting out 2,000 FPs a day. Guess which city wins? Myth 12. You must build every cultural happiness building. Players often think, my people must be happy, so I need all the cultural buildings of my age. Reality, wrong. Happiness is covered far more efficiently by event buildings and modern special sets. Traditional cultural buildings are just space hogs. By the time you reach the industrial age, stacking fountains and parks is like trying to power a Tesla with coal. Yes, build 10 carousels if you want. Your citizens will be ecstatic, while your production is still stuck in the Stone Age. Myth 13. You must complete all story quests. Some players panic. If I don't finish story quests, I'll miss something crucial. Reality. Story quests are guidance, not law. They teach you mechanics and give some small rewards, but they're not mandatory. You can ignore or delay them without losing access to the real content. The game doesn't collapse if you skip Produce 5 Spears. Skipping story quests is not heresy. The devs won't appear in your city to repossess your town hall. Myth 14. Production buildings are essential. Beginners love filling their cities with blacksmiths, pottery, textile mills, etc., thinking they're the backbone of the economy. Reality. By the mid-ages, production buildings are obsolete. Events and GBs cover everything. Keeping them is like proudly showing off your VHS collection in 2025. Nostalgic, but useless. If you've still got a blacksmith in Arctic Future, congrats, you're running a medieval museum, not a modern city. Myth 15. You must donate goods daily to the treasury to be useful. Plenty of new guild members feel guilty. If I don't donate my goods every day, I'm a bad teammate. Reality. Most serious guild goods don't come from your daily dribble. They come from observatories, some event buildings, and especially arcs. Those buildings print goods into the treasury non-stop. Your 20 marble donation isn't going to make or break anything. Sure, donate 20 marble every day. The guild will honor you forever with a statue, a tiny one, made out of marble. And then they'll still expect the observatory guys to pay for everything else. Myth 16. The current event is always the best one ever. Every new event gets hyped as the most powerful building of all time. Reality. Most event buildings are recycled with small twists. One has more attack, another spits out fragments, another gives medals you'll never use. Real value only becomes clear months later when the dust settles. So when you see players yelling, "This event changes everything," Just remember, they said the same thing 3 weeks ago. Spoiler, the world didn't change. Myth 17. Once you reach the top 10, the game is finished. Some players think hitting top 10 in rankings means they've won. Reality: the top 10 is just an ego boost. The real game, GBG, GEQI, never ends. There's no credit screen, no congratulations, you beat Forge of Empires. You just keep climbing, grinding, and competing. It's like finishing a Netflix series, only to find out there are 5 spin-offs waiting. Congrats, you're in top 10, now get back to work. Myth 18. Forge of Empires is pure pay to win. The common complaint: if you don't spend diamonds, you can't compete. Reality: spending helps, but free-to-play is totally viable. Events, swaps, guild teamwork, and good city design carry you a long way. Whales can pay to go faster, but smart players often outlast them. Money can buy diamonds, but it can't buy strategy. Without brains, your $500 just buys you a shinier way to lose. Myth 19. Spending diamonds in shop is always worth it. Some players assume if it costs diamonds, it must be valuable. Reality: in the Legacy Exchange you can spend diamonds, but many of the items offered there are not actually useful, like upgrade kits without the base building or fragments that don't add real value. Smart players pick carefully or skip entirely. Throwing diamonds at the shop blindly is basically donating to Inno's vacation fund. It's like Black Friday at a sketchy mall. Sure, buy that upgrade kit for a building you've never even seen. I'm sure it'll pay off in 2032. Myth 20. Forge of Empires is just a single-player city builder. At first glance, FoE looks like a casual city sim. Plop buildings, produce stuff, admire your town. But that's not where the game lives. Reality: the true engine of FoE is guild play. GE, GBG, and QI. That's where the real rewards, strategy, and competition happen. Playing solo is possible, sure, but you'll always be miles behind players in active guilds. Go ahead, play solo, then look over at your guild neighbor whose city is 10 times stronger and ask yourself why. Hint: it's not because his blacksmith is level 2. And there you have it, a collection of myths in Forge of Empires that aren't entirely true. Of course, these aren't even all of them. The game is full of half-truths, exaggerations, and plain nonsense that players keep repeating. So if you've got a favorite myth I didn't roast today, drop it in the comments. Maybe it shows up in part 2. I'm PixelPulse. And remember, just because your city looks symmetrical doesn't mean it's smart.